Now on CoastTV News.
Ocean City beach cleanup dates, how you can help clean the beaches. Millsboro road closures, how these new closures all come back to the Millsboro Bypass Project. Vietnam War Veterans Day, how military members were celebrated and honored in Georgetown today.
Well, it was a warm and mild day across the area. Temperatures got up into the 80s across some parts of the peninsula, and it's still pretty mild at this hour in the 60s as we're going to see a balmy night ahead. And then we talk about a strong cold front that's going to be pushing through Monday that could produce some strong to severe storms. My full forecast coming up.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Brandon Ferguson. Welcome to CoastTV News at 11. We begin tonight with how you can help keep our beaches clean. Their first date for this new Ocean City beach cleanups are set for Tuesday, April 1st at 56th Street, then April 8th on 94th Street, and on April 15th on Philadelphia Ave and Worcester Street. For all cleanup dates, times are set at 9 to 10 a.m. in the morning. If you need supplies, you can stop at the City Hall. Murr rescued a young gray seal pup Thursday, and these are new photos from the north side of the Indian River Inlet. The pup had bite wounds from adult males and received medical care at Murr before being transferred to the Mystic Aquarium in Connecticut for rehabilitation. Boaters are reminded to stay at least 150 feet away from seals to protect the seals. Honoring those who served and paying tribute to the 26 military members from Sussex County who made the ultimate sacrifice. It was a part of the Vietnam War Veterans Day ceremony in Georgetown. A 21 gun salute was a part of the event. The names of those Sussex County service members were read at the memorial, which is now located at the Village of College Park. March 29th is the day American combat troops left Vietnam following the Paris Peace Accords, which was signed by the United States, North Vietnamese, and South Vietnamese governments. This afternoon, veterans were able to pay their respects on this day of remembrance. Closures are coming to Millsboro related to the ongoing bypass project. According to DelDOT crews, they will conduct nighttime closures on Route 113 beginning April 6th through April 11th. The agency says this is to place beams for the new bridge. From April 6th to the 9th, there will be closures on Route 113 for drivers going southbound. Then on April 9th to the 11th, there will be closures on 113 for drivers going northbound. DelDOT crews say work will be from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and detours will be in place. For Milton drivers, more traffic is expected at Route 1 and 16. There will be a daytime lane closure on April 8th. This is regarding the Milton Overpass project, which we have covered before. The project is expected to be $23 million, and construction has been underway for over a year. And we now take a live look into Dover, and we bring in our first alert meteorologist, Chris Mastrobuono. And Chris, hopefully more days like this are ahead.
Yeah, you know what? We had more clouds than sun today, but I tell you what, it warmed up pretty nicely. I mean, we got to 81 Wallops Island, 79 in Salisbury. We were at 78 in Georgetown today, 78 even at the coast in Ocean City. So it was a warm day, well above that average high of 60. Now, right now we're holding in the 60s, but take a look to the north. We have this backdoor cold front that's pushing to the south, 47 in New York City, 53 in Philadelphia. I do think this backdoor cold front may make it as far north as northern Delaware, but it's not going to push as far south as here in lower Delmarva. We're at 53 right now in Bethany Beach, 65 in Georgetown, and we're at 69 in Delmar. It's going to be a rather unseasonably mild night ahead. We are dry. There's the front. You could see some shower activity running along that stalled out frontal boundary, basically right on the PA and New York border. So we have another mild day ahead of us tomorrow. We are going to be staying in the mid to upper 70s, breezy with a late shower. Then as we go into Monday, we are looking at damp start, mild afternoon, very windy, and then that threat of some strong to severe storms as we go into Monday night. So for your Sunday planner, waking up to some clouds, I do think we'll see some breaks in the clouds and some sunshine in the afternoon. but once again, a very warm day with highs in the mid to upper 70s. We'll talk more and we'll time out the storm threat on Monday and talk about some cooler temperatures come middle of next week. That's all coming up in that full 7-day forecast here in a little bit. Brandon?
Thank you, Chris. Hundreds of anti-Elon Musk protests took place at Tesla dealerships across the country today. Organizers call the campaign Tesla Takedown. Hundreds of protesters attended this demonstration in Rockville, Maryland. They're targeting Tesla because they believe its CEO Elon Musk is using his wealth to support his political views that they see as a threat to democracy. President Trump has appointed him to the head of the Department of Government Efficiency, known as DOGE, that has been carrying out large staff reductions at federal agencies.
What I'm seeing is a lot of people are losing their jobs. What are people supposed to do? Are we going to get to a society where the majority of the people are homeless with no food to eat? What do we stand for if we don't stand for freedom and democracy?
Now back to more local news. Starting Monday, March 31st, students in the Indian River School District will be spending a little extra time in class. The district is adding 20 minutes to each school day to make up for time lost to bad weather. The school day will be extended until the end of this year. According to a post from Mayor Bill West, the Sandhill Fields parking lot off of Murray Lane now has a new gate, which will be closing at 8 p.m. each night. Mayor West says this is due to some, quote, late night activity in the lot. CoastTV News reporter Brendan Conroy explains why neighbors are backing the new safety feature.
A gate was installed last week to keep things under control during the late night hours at the Sandhill Fields Trail parking lot in Georgetown. Neighbors say inappropriate actions have been happening at night. They also say they've seen drugs and alcohol involved.
I have seen police in here before, doing patrols and stuff.
Mark Belial lives close by and uses the trail often. He says while he hasn't had any personal issues, he has an idea what's been going on.
I come here probably 3 or 4 times a week, so I think the gate is probably necessary. Have seen a few unsavory things as far as all that goes, but yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Cortland Whaley also uses the lot multiple times each week to park her car for a walk on the trail.
You just never know, especially if you bring kids out here, if anyone's going to be lurking around, especially late at night. So it's definitely good to have some kind of safety precautions.
Now that it's after 8 p.m., let me show you what happens if you try to open the gate. Not only is it closed, but it's also locked shut. We tried reaching out to the sports complex to learn even more information, but did not hear back. Reporting in Georgetown, Brendan Conroy, CoastTV News.
Today, Deneric Mosquito Control is already applying insecticide. This ranging from today through this upcoming Monday. Spraying will occur during the daylight hours in Georgetown and Woodside. Also in areas near Ellendale, Felton, and Milton. The product being used posed no unreasonable risk to human health, wildlife, or the environment. For more information, visit the Mosquito Control Spray information site. Delaware lawmakers are looking at the possibility of bringing nuclear power to the first state. A resolution is making its way through the legislature that would explore the feasibility of nuclear energy. This is a look from our Coast Copter at the Salem Nuclear Power Plant across the Delaware River in New Jersey. Nuclear provides about half of New Jersey's electricity. Delaware is initially proposing something much smaller, what they are calling small modular reactors. That resolution passed the Senate this week with bipartisan support and now heads to the House in Delaware.
Well, we're keeping a close eye on a strong cold front that's going to be pushing through the East Coast on Monday. The Storm Prediction Center has placed the entire peninsula in a slight risk. 2 out of 5 on the scale. We could see some damaging winds. We'll talk more about the timing and what you could expect to see in your neighborhood coming up.
But first, we show you everything that happened on Delmarva this week. We'll be back in just 60 seconds. From the Food Bank of Delaware sounding alarms to Ocean City paid parking, there was a lot going on this week here on the coast. Charlie Sakaitis has a look at our week in review.
Monday, the Food Bank of Delaware sounding the alarm. This after USDA canceled $500 million in food purchases meant for food banks nationwide. That includes shipments that were headed to Delaware. The food bank says more than half the food it distributed last month came from the USDA. Tuesday, an update on an ongoing story. We got a photo of State Representative Stell Parker Selby. Democrats say it shows her swearing in at home. She has missed every vote taken by the legislature this year after suffering an undisclosed medical issue. It is still unclear when she will join her colleagues in Dover. Wednesday, we learned that the price of parking is going up in Ocean City. During peak vacation times, parking on the street and parking lots, it's been increased by 50 cents, making it now $3.50 an hour. And if you plan to park in the inlet lot or near the beach, that price will be $4.50, which is a $1 increase compared to last year. Thursday, Delaware's proposed fiscal year 2026 budget was unveiled. $6.58 billion in spending, focusing on key priorities including tax reform, education, affordable housing, and health care. Governor Matt Meyer's plan introduces 3 new tax brackets, stating that 92% of Delawareans will actually see tax reductions. And Friday, a reminder from the Indian River School District, as it has taken a unique approach to its snow day makeup schedule. Starting Monday, March 31st, the district says it will make school days longer by 20 minutes. For your Week in Review, I'm Charlie Sakaitis.
A fiery small plane crash landing on a house. What officials know about the crash?
Well, tomorrow morning will be kind of a carbon copy of what we saw this morning. Plenty of cloud cover, quite balmy out there. Temperatures rising into the mid to upper 60s, eventually topping out in the mid to upper 70s. We'll see some breaks in the clouds as well. We'll talk more about the storm threat on Monday, coming up my full first alert forecast when Coast TV News at 11 continues. Boy, I'll tell you what, it feels like a summer night out there. Very calm, very mild, and as we take a live look into Ocean City, we're at 52. That's one of actually the cooler spots with the wind coming off the ocean, but you could see further inland, we are quite mild at this hour. 66 in Milton, we're at 65, Georgetown, 66, Salisbury, and we're at 66 in Seaford. Well, we made it up to 78 in Georgetown today after a morning low of 61. You can see the low is more on point with where we should be for an average high for this time of year. Now the record 87. I think if we would have had mostly sunny skies today, we definitely would have challenged that high temperature. Another unseasonably mild night, as I mentioned, with lows dipping into the upper 50s to lower 60s. We're going to see clouds and sun tomorrow. I think more sunshine in the afternoon, highs reaching the mid to upper 70s, and then we're keeping a close eye on a potential severe threat as we roll into Monday night. Could be dealing with some damaging winds as we go in that time frame. The lone small craft advisory up through Deal Island as well as Crisfield, and that's up through 4 a.m. We are dry, free of any precipitation. You could see some light shower activity well off to our north. This stalled out frontal boundary. You could see the precip just riding along that front like a train track. And this is our developing storm. This storm system is going to kick out here in the Tennessee and Ohio River valleys and produce quite a severe threat, tornado threat tomorrow. And then that energy is eventually going to advance eastward into our direction. But you could see it is a battle of the seasons here. This warm air mass throughout much of the east, helping us have this quite this mild weekend. 60 degrees for your overnight low. Tomorrow, we are in the mid to upper 70s, 78 Georgetown, 77 Milford. We'll see 75 in Cambridge, 77 Salisbury, a bit cooler there in Crisfield with the wind coming off the bay, and 68 in Ocean City. Could expect some light shower activity to roll in tomorrow night through Monday morning, but the main activity, we could be dealing with some torrential downpours and gusty winds as we go into Monday night. So Futurecast shows the cloudy skies through the morning, and then we get some breaks in the afternoon. And then as we go into early Monday morning, you can see waking up, it's going to be quite damp, some spotty drizzle, and then as we get in the afternoon, it becomes very windy with those winds out of the south, and we see some breaks. Now, if we get some breaks, that's going to be key as to how the potential severe threat plays out later on in the night And there you see some potential torrential downpours as we go into the wee hours of Tuesday morning, and then we clear out and dry out. So the Storm Prediction Center maintaining that slight risk of severe weather as we go into your Monday night. Ahead of the front, we're going to have gusts upwards of 35 to 40 miles an hour, and we could see about a half an inch to an inch and a half of rain once all is said and done. We have a first alert in play for Monday night, April Fool's Day there, 57 degrees on Tuesday, and then we're back up to 78 on Thursday and staying rather unsettled Friday through Sunday.
Thank you, Chris. A small plane has crashed in a Minneapolis suburb today. Witnesses in Brooklyn Park say shortly after noon they saw the plane crash, then a fire ensued. The house was fully engulfed in flames when firefighters arrived. The Federal Aviation Administration says it does not yet know how many people were on board of the plane. It's unclear if there were people inside the house at the time of the crash as well, or if anyone nearby was injured. The FAA says the plane had taken off from Des Moines International Airport in Iowa and was headed to Anoka County Blaine Airport in Minneapolis. The area was crashed into the suburb, and the NTSB will lead the investigation into the cause of the crash. The FCC is investigating ABC and its parent company Disney over diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. A Friday letter from the FCC to Disney CEO Bob Iger said the agency wants to, quote, ensure that Disney and ABC have not been violating FCC equal employment opportunity regulations by promoting DEI discrimination. The probe is the latest escalation in the Trump administration's crackdown on diversity programs in private American companies. A Disney spokesperson said the company is reviewing the FCC's letter and looks forward to answering the agency's questions. A Florida congresswoman is threatening to leave the House Freedom Caucus due to pushback on her remote voting effort. Republican Representative Anna Paulina Luna wants new parents in the House to be able to vote by proxy for up to 12 weeks after the birth of a child. She joined in the effort by Democratic female colleague. However, Republican leaders say voting by proxy is unconstitutional, even though many of them did it during the pandemic. Luna appears to have at least some bipartisan support. For that reason, she says she is likely to leave the conservative group. The State Department has ordered social media screenings for certain students' visa applicants. According to a memo, all U.S. embassies and consultants should look for social media activity that would make a candidate ineligible for a visa. This directive comes amid fierce criticism from immigration and human rights advocates over the Trump administration's detention of some visa holders who have not been charged with a crime. Coming up on Coast TV News, Americans aren't moving as much. We have one reason for that after the break. People in the U.S. are moving a lot less frequently than they used to. That's according to Redfin. The average homeowner stays in the same home for 11.8 years. In 2005, it was just at 6.5 years, but that number can vary. In California, it's nearly 20 years. The reasons why are pretty simple. Homeowners with low interest mortgages don't want to take on new loans with higher rates to purchase another home. But if you buy a new one, it resets to current values, and you can end up paying way more money in taxes. There's changes coming to the Food and Drug Administration's after its top vaccine regulator has resigned. An official at the Department of Health and Human Services said on Friday that Dr. Peter Marks has resigned. A person familiar with the matter told NBC News that Marks was forced out of his position. In a resignation letter to acting FDA Commissioner Sarah Brenner, Marks wrote that undermining confidence in vaccines is, quote, irresponsible, detrimental to public health, and a clear danger to our nation's health, safety, and security. Continuing in your health news, mass layoffs are coming for the Department of Veteran Affairs. The FA Security has said the department is looking at laying off about 80,000 employees to increase efficiency. Lee Waldman was in New York, and Lee spoke with VA employees who are worried about the cuts that will impact their ability to serve veterans.
The veterans just aren't going to get taken care of the way they should be.
Fears are mounting for Veterans Affairs employees and their union representation, American Federation of Government Employees, over sweeping layoffs planned for the department. Veteran Affairs Secretary Doug Collins says the VA is aiming to cut its staff by some 80,000, about 17% of its workforce.
Money and people are not the issue. So what we're looking at here is, are we spending, the money properly, and are we having the right amount of employees, or do we have just too much bureaucracy?
According to an internal memo obtained by CNN earlier this month, reduction in force and reorganization plans will be submitted by April 13th and revealed in June when cuts will begin. Jonathan Geller, the vice president of an AFGE branch in New York, worries about the impact on veterans they help.
This is going to affect all patient care. As a whole. I mean, from the call centers, from eligibility to benefits, to the crisis line, to member services lines.
Erica Alexander is a crisis responder on the Veterans Crisis Hotline. She believes layoffs will leave veterans without critical safety nets and mental health support.
I think it's going to be hard to make sure that no calls go unanswered.
They gave so much for their country, but Geller worries the country won't be able to give back to them.
This was a promise. We promised these men and women to care for them.
In New York, I'm Lee Waldman.
After the break here on Coast TV News at 11, we have a final check on your forecast. Coast TV News continues in just a few moments. Small businesses are the backbone of America's economy, and mom and pop businesses are as American as apple pie. Today, we give them recognition that they deserve because today is National Mom and Pop Business Owners Day. Observed every year on March 29th, it's not just for family-run businesses, but an opportunity to honor all small business owners.
It's certainly been a nice weekend to hit those mom and pop shops out there because it's been dry and quite mild. It's going to be another mild night, 60 degrees. That should be our average high for this time of year. Tomorrow we're at 76, a cloudy, mild day, breezy as well. And then things turn unsettled as we go into Monday. We wake up to some warm and damp conditions, turns quite windy in the afternoon, and then we have a threat for some potential severe storms by Monday evening. You get your forecast anytime by dialing our First Alert weather phone, and your 10-day forecast shows that first alert in play for Monday night for the potential for some torrential downpours as well as those damaging wind threats. We cool things down Tuesday and the Wednesday, and then we go right back up into the upper 70s Thursday, and it does turn a bit unsettled Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with multiple rounds of low pressure, and then we see quite a drop in temperature by the end of that 10-day forecast.
Thanks for joining us here for Coast TV News at 11. For more news and local weather, download our Coast TV News app. Saturday Night Live starts right now. Have a great night.